The Holy Quran, chapter 2, verses 243, 245. Let's begin with our supplications. I seek refuge in Allah from the rejected Satan. In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most compassionate. Allah, the Exalted, says in verse 243 of chapter 2, O Messenger, have you thought of those who went forth from their homes for fear of death, even though they were in their thousands? Allah said to them, die. Then He restored them to life. Indeed, Allah is bountiful to mankind, but most people do not give thanks in return. This verse begins a fresh topic, urging Muslims to struggle and make financial sacrifices for God's cause. Moreover, they have been warned to avoid those forms of corruption which eventually led the children of Israel into decline and degeneration. In order to appreciate this discourse, it should be borne in mind that it was revealed when the Muslims had been driven out of Mecca and had lived in Medina for a year and a half. Exasperated by the wrongs to which the unbelievers subjected them, the Muslims had again and again asked the Prophet, peace be on him, to permit them to fight. But when they were at long last asked to fight, some of them showed a degree of reluctance and disinclination. Their attention is now drawn, therefore, to two incidents in the history of the Israelites from which they may learn their lesson. The verse refers to the exodus of the Israelites. Chapter 5, starting with verse 20, gives some details of this incident. The Israelites had left Egypt in large numbers and were wandering in the desert, eager to find a home. But when at God's command, Prophet Moses ordered them to drive the Canaanites out of Palestine and conquer that land, they showed cowardice and refused to proceed. Eventually, God let them wander about for 40 years, till one full generation of Israelites had died and been replaced by a new one, reared in the tough conditions of desert life. It was only then that God enabled the Israelites to overcome the Canaanites. Their former condition is described as death, whereas the later development is seen as their restoration to life. Let's now look at the next two verses, 244, 245, in which Allah, the Exalted, says, so fight in the way of Allah, and know well that Allah is all-hearing, all-knowing. Who of you will lend Allah a goodly loan which He will return after multiplying it for him manifold? For Allah has the power both to decrease and increase, and to Him will you be returned. In this last verse, goodly loan signifies whatever one gives selflessly and from absolutely pure motives. God describes such a spending as a loan made to none other than Him, and He undertakes to repay that loan and to repay it multifold. The stipulation, however, is that the loan should be a goodly one. That is, it should not be tainted with selfish designs and should be given for the sake of God and God alone, and to be only spent for purposes pleasing to Him.